Looking at it like this, that is a very iconic moment. Now I need to go in there and do the job and get the W. Come to Saudi, July 25th. I'll welcome you in the ring. If you're serious, come out and we can get talking then. They dangled a carrot in front of me and said, if I can beat Prangar, I can fight Tyson Fury. So I'm fully locked in on getting the job done because that's the fight that I dream of. It's a big opportunity for me. This year's a big year for me. Now I know the fight's signed and sealed. He's more than welcome to step in the ring and he'll be the last hurdle of 2026.
Anthony Joshua has suddenly started smiling again, and somehow, Tyson Fury is the punchline. Just as Fury prepares for what should be a routine warm-up fight, Joshua drops comments that have boxing fans reading between every line. Is this harmless mind games? Or does Joshua know something everyone else has missed? And if this easy fight isn't so easy after all, what exactly is about to happen next? Tyson Fury will return to face Mariusz Wach in a heightweight clash on July 24th in Thailand.
Tyson Fury has a fight, believe it or not, and his next fight is not going to be against Anthony Joshua. For some reason, he needs another tune-up fight after the Makhmudov fight back in April. We remember that, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It was just announced that it's going to be Tyson Fury against, wait for it, Mariusz Wach. Now, this poster that was released is one that has a Netflix logo, bottom left, but as our guy Darshan reports, and I've confirmed as well, this will not air.
Tyson Fury has never been a stranger to headlines, but this time the headlines are not celebrating another outrageous prediction or another larger-than-life performance. Instead, they are asking one uncomfortable question. Why is one of boxing's biggest stars preparing for one of the most anticipated heavyweight fights in history by facing an opponent that many fans believe belongs in boxing's past rather than its future?
You know, I think his last 10 fights, he's won 3. He's lost to Dylan White, Yuri Fury, Fraser Clark. But what I'm saying is I'm quite sure Tyson expects the backlash, he expects the criticism, he expects the out, and people forget it. And you know that's how is Frank Warren involved in this? Is he the promoter? I'm mixed up because I think Tyson said that his promoter now was Turkey. I don't know if Frank says his advisor or his promoter. I don't know. So, number one, the fight's out in Thailand. So, is that a Queensberry show? That's number one. Number two,
They're on the poster.
Okay, if they're on the poster, so he must be down there.
Ring and setter.
An advisor or something like that.
For years, the dream fight between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua felt like a movie that kept getting delayed. Every time fans thought they were finally getting their tickets, something happened. Contracts collapsed, mandatory challengers stepped in, titles changed hands, retirements came and went, and somehow the biggest all-British heavyweight showdown never made it into the ring.
My understanding of the situation was that Tyson Fury had done his deal with Turkey Al-Sheikh, which stepped out of the contractual broadcasting obligations that Queensberry have to DAZN. The same thing applies to Anthony Joshua. They're separate to the broadcasting deals that these two promoters had. So I'm not entirely sure what contract Eddie's referring to, because I understand that Tyson does his deal with Seller and Turkey, and Anthony does his deal with Seller and Turkey. And where's Matchroom in this besides getting a carve out of some of the money that Joshua's getting? So it's an interesting one. But listen, I suppose in the broadest terms, fellas, lots of people want to see this fight. It finishes off a chapter. So wherever it lands, I guess, is wherever it lands. And I suppose we have to be grateful that the fight's eventually being made, because it was left to Frank and Eddie, probably we'd never see this fight, with all due respect.
Now, with both men finally scheduled to meet later this year, the last thing anyone expected was for the conversation to revolve around warm-up fights instead of the main event. Yet that is exactly where boxing finds itself.
All the noise around this fight now leans towards the fight happening in the States, and I've got to be honest, that is an absolute fucking piss take. It's out of order. You've got two British heavyweight fighters, former world champions, fighting in the biggest fight in British boxing history, and it's not going to be on British soil. Just taking the piss out of the fans. If it goes over to the States, there's nobody really that can agree, other than money, that this fight should be happening over there. They've both made over 100 million. They're both absolutely flying financially. So what's an extra 10 million when you've got 150 million in your bank? I'm sure it don't make much difference, but it's about honouring the fans and honouring the people that have been there from the start of your career, people that have bought tickets time after time, after you've been beat up, after you've lost your titles, after you've tried to come back.
Tyson Fury has officially announced that he will face 46-year-old Polish veteran Mariusz Wach in Pattaya, Thailand, a bout designed to keep him active before stepping into the ring with Joshua. On paper, it sounds perfectly reasonable. Fighters have taken tune-up fights for decades because staying sharp is often better than sitting on the couch binge-watching documentaries about yourself. However, the reaction from fans has been anything but positive. The criticism started almost immediately because Wach is no longer viewed as a genuine threat in the heavyweight division. He challenged Vladimir Klitschko for the world title back in 2012, but those glory days feel like ancient history in boxing terms. Since then, he has become what many describe as a respected veteran who is often called upon to test younger fighters rather than beat them. More importantly, he has lost 7 of his last 10 fights, making many fans wonder whether this contest is less about competition and more about making sure Fury avoids unnecessary danger before finally meeting Joshua. Then there is the venue. Instead of fighting inside one of boxing's famous arenas packed with tens of thousands of screaming fans, Fury will compete at MOCKS Muay Thai Stadium in Pattaya. While the location has its own unique atmosphere and Fury has spoken warmly about his connection to Thailand, plenty of fans could not resist making jokes online. The internet, as usual, showed absolutely no mercy.
You beat Tyson Fury,
I'll be over the moon.
would you?
Yeah, of course. You know,
Would you like
that's-
to?
Yeah, of course.
Are you friendly with him?
Not really. But I respect what he's done.
I think he called you a dosser.
Yeah, but
That's his standard term of abuse.
yeah,
You big dosser.
yeah,
He's a bodybuilder.
yeah,
He is a businessman. I am a Spartan.
yeah. Have you got one of those fully Tyson Fury dolls? No, I'm joking. You must like him though,
What makes you say that?
because you can memorize every quote of his.
He's very quotable, isn't he?
He is.
Of course, social media always exaggerates everything. If a boxer sneezes during training, someone immediately declares his career finished. If he smiles too much, apparently he is not taking training seriously. If he frowns, everyone assumes he is secretly injured. That is simply the modern boxing cycle. Still, there is a genuine point hidden beneath all the jokes. Fans expected something a little more competitive. Nobody is asking Fury to fight Alexander Usyk again before facing Joshua because that would be completely ridiculous. However, many supporters believed he would choose someone capable of pushing him for several rounds, forcing him to sharpen every aspect of his game instead of simply collecting another victory. 20 knockouts. Those numbers naturally make fans curious because anyone capable of stopping every opponent they beat clearly possesses genuine power. Now, before everyone starts declaring Prenga the next Mike Tyson, there is an important detail that deserves attention. While his knockout percentage is impressive, Prenga has not yet proven himself against elite world-class heavyweights. His record looks intimidating, but records can sometimes tell only part of the story. Boxing history is filled with undefeated fighters who looked unstoppable until they finally shared a ring with someone operating at championship level.
And AJ specifically asked for the fight to be in the UK. So that's where we wanted it to happen, that's where we expect it to happen. But I'm sure Dana White is trying to get his teeth in and tell Turkey, no, do it in America. You know, we'll get a bigger gate, we'll do this, we'll do that. Netflix will prefer it. I don't know. But the only way the venue changes from the UK is if we agree to it. And we don't really want to, but we, out of respect, we will have those conversations.
Even so, there is a noticeable difference in perception. Many fans believe Joshua is at least facing someone with momentum, youth, confidence, and explosive punching power, whereas Fury is taking on an experienced veteran whose best years are widely considered behind him. That difference has become one of the biggest talking points leading into these warm-up fights. Ironically, Joshua himself probably understands why Fury made this decision. Every boxer knows the biggest enemy before a mega fight fight is not necessarily the opponent standing across the ring. Sometimes it is one awkward punch from someone nobody expected to land cleanly. Nobody wants months of promotion worth hundreds of millions of dollars disappearing because someone twisted an ankle or suffered an unnecessary knockout. It makes business sense. Whether it makes exciting television is another conversation entirely. They argue that if Tyson Fury genuinely believes he remains the best heavyweight in the world, then he should not need such a carefully selected introduction before stepping into the biggest fight of his career. From their perspective, a fighter who has built his reputation on defeating elite opponents should welcome a meaningful challenge instead of facing an opponent whose greatest achievements belong to another era.
On the whole, you know, I'm quite sure everybody around him will say, look, you're going to get some flack for this. Let it die down and get the stick. But the danger is this, and we've seen it always happens, if you get in there with somebody that's not very good, or you don't respect as being very good, that's where you make a mistake and you look bad. You're beaten, but you look bad. Now that's like 46 years old. I think he's 133, out of 33, he's stopped 20. He's lost, I think he's been stopped 8 or 10 times, I can't remember, but what I'm saying is, so there's no threat there, there should be no threat there. And this is how they're looking at it. They're going to take the flack, they're going to take the criticism, Tyson Fury's camp, for picking this opponent.
Meanwhile, Anthony Joshua's camp appears noticeably calmer and far more comfortable with the direction of his preparations. Since returning from injuries and rebuilding both physically and mentally, Joshua has repeatedly spoken about approaching every fight with renewed discipline and a fresh sense of purpose. The former unified heavyweight champion understands that the long-awaited showdown with Tyson Fury has never felt closer, but he also appreciates that looking beyond Christian Pranga would be a serious mistake. That lesson remains one of the defining moments of Joshua's career. That experience also explains why Joshua's current preparation appears so focused, despite the enormous attention surrounding a possible clash with Fury. While fans and media outlets continue discussing what could happen later this year, Joshua's team has consistently emphasized that the only fight deserving their full attention is the one directly in front of them. It may sound like the standard answer every boxer gives during a press conference, but history has repeatedly shown that overlooking even one opponent can completely derail months of planning. Christian Pranga certainly has no intention of acting as a supporting character in someone else's story.
I think for fight fans, this is good news because this pretty much tells us that his plan is warm-up fight Anthony Joshua. Mariusz Wach is the warm-up fight, and it has to be Anthony Joshua after that, providing Anthony Joshua comes through Christian Pranga. We know what Mariusz Wach is at this stage of his career, and look, Tyson might try and get him out of there, but he also might just want to kind of enjoy the 10 or the 12 rounds or however many rounds it's going to be, and just get that time in the ring. That's why he's doing this. He wasn't just going to sit and wait for Anthony Joshua to have his warm-up fight and then just kind of sit around and wait for their fight. So he's getting in.
While Joshua's camp concentrates on avoiding complacency, Tyson Fury has been attempting to explain why his own warm-up fight should not be viewed as negatively as many critics suggest. Fury has spoken enthusiastically about returning to Thailand, describing the event as more than just another boxing match. He has highlighted his enjoyment of the country, discussed the training environment, and expressed support for charitable initiatives connected to the event. Those comments reveal that the occasion carries personal significance for him beyond simply preparing for Joshua. Unfortunately for Fury, those explanations have done little to silence critics who remain focused on the competitive side of the matchup. Perhaps the most entertaining aspect of the entire situation has been watching boxing fans transform into full-time investigators. The internet has become a place where every photograph from training camp receives forensic examination, and every interview is dissected as though it contains hidden messages about a fighter's confidence, health, or secret strategy. A single image showing a boxer looking slightly heavier than usual suddenly becomes proof that training has gone badly, while another picture taken from a more flattering angle convinces the same people that the athlete has never been in better shape.
Can you do this one just for the UK fans because they've supported these fighters from the beginning?
That's not a question for me, is it? You know, I mean, not really, because ultimately, I mean, look, we can hold our ground and say, no, we want to do this in the UK, and we will, right? But at the same time, Turki Al-Sheikh is paying the money. He's also paying a premium for this fight, and I'm not going to disrespect him to the point where it's like, by the way, the financials have to change if we're going to go. I'm being straight up. It's not just a conversation of, all right, mate, no, we want the fight in the UK. So if you want to change it, you've got to renegotiate.
The theories become even more creative whenever new information emerges. Sometimes it feels as though boxing fans deserve their own detective television series because they can construct remarkably detailed stories from almost no evidence at all, present them with a blurry training video lasting only a few seconds, and before long, someone will confidently identify the gloves being worn, estimate the fighter's weight to the nearest pound, and predict the exact number of pay-per-view purchases the eventual showdown will generate. Although much of this speculation is amusing, it also demonstrates just how invested fans have become in the possibility of finally seeing Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua share the same ring, what many believed would become the defining heavyweight contest of a generation. Every setback increased the frustration, but it also made the eventual meeting feel even more significant. The fascinating part of this rivalry is that the two men have followed remarkably different paths while ultimately arriving at the same destination. Anthony Joshua first captured the public's imagination through his Olympic success before developing into one of boxing's biggest attractions thanks to his explosive power, disciplined technique, and impressive physical presence. His rise transformed him into one of Britain's most recognizable sporting figures and helped reignite widespread interest in heavyweight boxing.
Uncle Turkey has some work to do, and we'll see what happens next, but I enjoyed watching it, and I feel like I'm ready to build up my muscle because I want to break his jaw.
Cheers, MOCKS here for pro boxing fans. I'm delighted to be joined by, I imagine, another very delighted man in Joseph Parker. You got the pizza and you got the win. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I wasn't the one fighting, but
yeah, of course.
Very happy for Tyson. He worked very hard in Thailand for 3 months, and despite not getting another knockout or a stoppage that everyone's looking for, he put on a great.
Tyson Fury's journey, by comparison, has been considerably more unpredictable. He established himself by ending Vladimir Klitschko's long reign before overcoming deeply personal struggles that many believed would permanently end his career. His remarkable comeback, followed by memorable battles against Deontay Wilder and other elite heavyweights, elevated him beyond simply being a champion and turned him into one of the sport's most fascinating personalities. Fury's charisma, unpredictability, and willingness to say almost anything during interviews have ensured that attention follows him wherever he goes. That lengthy wait explains why every development surrounding their current preparations has attracted such extraordinary attention. Suddenly, warm-up fights that would normally receive only modest interest have become major talking points throughout the boxing world. Every jab thrown during training sessions is analyzed for clues about timing and sharpness. Every round completed in sparring becomes another opportunity for supporters to argue that their preferred fighter holds the psychological advantage. Even the smallest technical adjustment quickly becomes the subject of lengthy online debates between rival fan bases, determined to prove that their prediction will eventually come true.
There was a lot of talk of his sparring beforehand and how he's running rings and all these things. Like I said, you've shared the ring with Tyson. It's crazy to say, but like, is this one of the best Tyson Furies that you've seen from what you saw in camp? And I know he's probably got more to give, but what
different opponents bring different challenges, and the display they put on after being out of the ring for a year and a half I thought it was great. So everyone will have their opinion on it, but I thought it was great.
We've been here before, but from when you speak to Tyson, it does feel like we're closer than ever to the Anthony Joshua fight. Is that all he wants? Is that all his eyes are on?
That's the fight that everyone's been talking about for a long time. So hopefully they can make it happen. Knock it in, get it done.
When we was up there in the stand, you couldn't hear what Anthony said. His microphone wasn't working. I don't know if you was in the ring and you heard what AJ said back to Tyson.
AJ said that he was the one chasing after Tyson. And then they started going back and forth. So it was entertaining.
Every punch landed in these tune-up fights will be interpreted as evidence supporting one side of an argument that has existed for nearly a decade. If Fury dominates comfortably, his supporters will insist that criticism surrounding the opponent was completely overblown and that the performance demonstrates he remains one of the finest heavyweights in the world. On the other hand, any signs of vulnerability will almost certainly trigger an explosion of reactions across social media before the final bell has even finished ringing. Boxing fans have always been quick to draw dramatic conclusions from limited evidence, and these warm-up contests are unlikely to be any different. The only thing people will remember is whether both men successfully arrived at the fight everyone has wanted since the middle of the last decade. And with Tyson Fury stepping into a criticized tune-up against Mariusz Wach, while Anthony Joshua prepares to test himself against the dangerous punching power of Christian Prenga, the countdown has officially begun. One man is trying to silence critics. The other is trying to remind the world why he remains one of the sport's biggest stars. The only question left is which heavyweight will look sharper when the smoke clears. Because if both men do their jobs, the fight boxing fans have chased for nearly 10 years will finally become reality.